Welcome back, Algebra 2. Today we are going to do section 5-2, composition of functions. So when you compose two functions, you take one function and you stick it into the other. So when you see this open circle here, this open circle tells you that you are going to compose them. This open circle is not multiplication. So you are looking for the open circle when you do composition of functions. So now we have to learn how to write it. When we say this is read as like f composed with g of x. So whatever letter comes first right here, I'm going to rewrite it in this more user-friendly function notation. So if the f comes first, when you rewrite it, the f comes first. And so whatever letter comes first is the main function. So f is going to be your main function. And then whatever is here, we're going to plug into it. So you are going to plug g in for x. Promise it'll make sense in a minute. Here we have it reversed. So if we have g composed with f, we would write this as g of f of x. So now, since the g comes first, now g is going to be your main function. And I'm going to plug f in for the x. All right. So we just did this the other day. Let's get our brains wrapped around this in an easier context. So if I have f of x equals negative 4x plus 5. So recall that whatever you have in x, that's what you're going to plug it in. So if I have f of negative 3, I'm going to plug the negative 3 in for the x. This is the basis of what we're going to do when it's more complicated. F of negative 3, so that would be 12 and 5 equals 17. So when I first learned this, I learned that I really need to have things color-coded. So the first thing that I do, this says f composed with g of x. Okay, I cannot work with this. So the first thing I would do is rewrite it by definition as f of g of x. All right, so your f is your main function, so I'm going to put it over here. And all the f's are going to be in the blue, and all the g's are going to be yellow highlight today. All right, so f is your main function, so I'm going to start by putting my main function over here. So remember, just like we did right here, wherever we had an x, I plugged in whatever's here in the parentheses. Well, this time I have g of x in parentheses. So now I'm going to get rid of the g of x, and I'm going to write down what it is, negative 4x plus 1. All right, so g of x and negative 4x plus 1 are the same thing. And remember, just like we did here, whatever you have right there, you plug it in place of x. And so yellow is going to replace yellow right here. So f of negative 4x plus 1. So now instead of just substituting in a single number, I'm going to substitute in this expression. 2x is multiplication, so I need to keep my multiplication intact, and I'm subbing in multiple terms. So therefore, I need parentheses. And now, I'm just going to distribute and combine like terms over here on this side. distribute the 2, so I get negative 8x plus 2 minus 7. I'm going to combine like terms, and I get negative 8x minus 5. So that is how you compose functions when you stick one inside the other. I'm not going to do number 2 yet. I'm going to jump down to number 3. So what does it look like when I reverse the order and I go g of f of x? All right, so I'm going to rewrite it as g of f of x. Let's see, g is yellow. All right, so g comes first. That's my main function. So that's what I'm going to start putting over here. And when you look up at the top, that is negative 4x plus 1. I'm not going to plug f of x in there. I'm going to substitute. So f of x is 2x minus 7. All right, so my f is blue, and that goes there. And so this says, all right, so whatever is right here, that's always what you plug in place of x on the other side. All right, so I just got rid of the x. I replaced it with 2x minus 7. And now I'm going to distribute to clear my parentheses. That's negative 8x. That's plus 28 plus 1. And that equals negative 8x plus 29. All right, so apparently it makes a big difference which one is your main function. So you just have to remember whatever letter comes first, that's my main function, and this inside function is what I'm plugging in for x. If you feel like color coding helps, then please, please, by all means, do that. All right. So I take a different approach when I have a number here. So when I have a number, I'm going to rewrite this as f of g of negative 5. All right, so the first thing that I notice, your f is blue. Once again, whatever letter comes first, that is your main function. So my main function is 2x minus 7. All right, so I have to figure out what g of negative 5 is. So I basically have to do a little work over here to the side. G of x is negative 4x plus 1. I want to figure out what is g of negative 5. So in place of x, plug in negative 5. That equals 20, and 1 equals 21. So g of negative 5 and 21 are the exact same thing. So in place of g of 5, I'm going to replace that with 21. F of 21 equals 2x minus 7. I don't know why I put a parenthesis there. All right, so then once again, now it just kind of looks like the easy kind. Whatever number you have here, I'm going to plug that number in for x. 2 times 21 minus 7, and my calculator says 35. All right, so here's another one with a number. So I have g of f of 13. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it as g of f of 13. And let's see, G is yellow today. All right, so whatever letter comes first, that's my main function. So your G function is negative 4x plus 1. All right, so you have to figure out what f of 13 is, because whatever that value is, that's what you have to plug in place of x. So go do some work off to the side. Your f of x function is 2x minus 7. You want to figure out what is the value of f of 13. Plug 13 in place of x, do the math, and f of 13 equals 19. Alright, so f of 13 equals 19. So right there, in place of that f of 13, I'm going to replace that with 19. So I have g of 19 equals negative 4x plus 1. So remember, whatever you have right here, we're plugging in place of x on the other side. Negative 4 times 19 plus 1, and my calculator says negative 75. On the back, we just have some problems with more of the same. Let's see, this time I have things that are being squared. We might want to help you with 2a right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it as f of g of x. So whatever letter comes first, that's my main function. And so that is x squared plus 1. Let's stick with the color coding. Let's see. So f is going to be yellow, and g is going to be blue, right there. All right, so in place of, so instead of g of x, I'm going to substitute in this x minus 2. All right, so x minus 2 has to go in for that x squared right there. I'm substituting 2 terms in place of 1, so I'm definitely going to need parentheses around it. So now you have to remember, okay, so I have x minus 2 squared. So when you square something, that means you take it and you multiply it by itself. So I have x minus 2 times x minus 2 plus 1. Here we're going to multiply, distribute, FOIL, whatever you call it. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Now go to this negative 2 and distribute. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. Bring down that plus 1. I have like terms. When I combine them all and put it in standard form, I have x squared minus 4x plus 5. Here on 2b, now we have it in reverse. So I have g of f of x. So g comes first, so that means I'm using x minus 2 as my main function. get rid of f of x and put in x squared plus 1. Whatever you have right here goes right there in place of x. So I have x squared plus 1 minus 2. So here when I substituted in x squared plus 1, I didn't feel the need to put it in parentheses because there's no operation happening to the x. There's no multiplication, there's nothing being squared. So now all you need to do is combine like terms. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And you get x squared minus 1. All right, let's see if we remember how to do a number. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite it as f of g of 3. Your f is your main function, and that is x squared plus 1. I have to do a little side work, and I have to figure out what is g of 3. So your g function is x minus 2. G of 3 equals 3 minus 2. G of 3 equals 1. All right, so now I have to figure out what is f of 1. So I'm going to plug 1 in place of x. 1 squared is 1. 1 and 1 equals 2. That is your good final answer on that one. All right, example 3. I have, this is a little bit bizarre. All right. So the first thing that I'm going to do, I notice that I have ordered pairs instead of actual functions. So your f function are these 3 set of ordered pairs. Your g function are these 3 set of ordered pairs. All right, so you kind of have to like jump through these hoops. I'm going to rewrite it as f of g of negative 2. So this, you have to understand, is your x value. So this says when x is negative 2, what is the y value? All right, so we have in our ordered pairs xy, xy, xy. And this says the g, so I have to come over here to the g function. And this says when g is negative 2, the y value or the answer equals 2. So now I have f of 2. All right, so this, you have to always remember, is like your x value. So the inside number right there, that's your x value. So now this says, okay, so move over here to your f function, and when x is 2, the answer is 5. I know these are kind of weird. They take a lot of practice. All right, so we have g of f of 4. So we start at the inside and work our way out. This 4 is the x, and we have to find the answer to that. Okay, so here's your f function, xy, xy, xy. All right, so I'm looking at that one. When x is 4, y is 1. So now I know that answer is 1. So then you come over here. You have to know that that is your x. So when x is 1, your y is 3. That answer is 3. Here we have f of g of 6. All right, so this says go to your g function. When x is 6, the answer is negative 1. Once again, that's your x, so you come over here to your f function. When x is negative 1, the answer is negative 3. And check out my notes for everything else.